Have you ever wanted to go on a heartfelt journey in the lives of your loved ones and newfound acquaintances? Do you enjoy listening and engaging in uplifting discussions that leave you motivated and inspired to take action in your own life? This podcast is a space where we have in-depth conversations on family, health, spirituality, entrepreneurship, and well, just plain old life. I'm Jesse De Leon, and this is my passion. Join me on a walk into the fascinating narratives and meaningful conversations that shape our experiences. Welcome to The Knowing, a Life and Stories podcast. Good day, everyone, and thank you for joining me on my podcast, The Knowing, a Life and Stories, with me, Jesse De Leon, as your host. Happy to be here, and thank you for tuning in. I was on the phone with a friend this morning, and we were talking about, and almost always the relationship conversation comes up. And so we were talking about she and her husband and how, at times things are going smoothly, they're going well, and then suddenly things are not going smoothly and not going well in terms of how they communicate. Do you feel that you and your partner are communicating well? Do you feel safe in your relationship in how you're able to communicate your feelings, your thoughts, your concerns, your desires, even your fantasy about the way you hope the relationship could be? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm not a relationship expert by any means. Actually, why should I be giving relationship advice? I'm really not going to be giving relationship advice because I am now single for almost 7 years. And so this isn't about my giving relationship advice. It's really about my experience or experiences in the relationships that I've been, and also being privy to other people's relationships, friends, coworkers, family relationships. So really we're all equal, all struggle with the same struggles in our relationships. Maybe not all the same at the same time, but as the years have gone by, I find that we all struggle with some of the same struggles. So the conversation this morning was how things can be going so well and then suddenly they're not going so well. Suddenly there's radio silence in the home. There is lack of communication. There is the feeling of not feeling safe in your relationship in the way that we communicate. And we were talking about how interesting it is in the beginning when relationships start out. Of course, they're great. Of course, they're passionate and lovely and kind and exciting and patient and everything that Corinthians teaches about what love and marriage and relationships are supposed to be like. And then over time, I don't know if it's because we get comfortable in the relationship. I think it's quite the opposite. I think that we stop listening to ourselves and listening to one another. And what do I mean by that? How do we stop listening to ourselves? Well, we become unaware of the tone that we use, the lack of attention that we give, the lack of affection that we give, because we begin to feel familiar in the relationship. And over time, and it's pretty quickly, in once you're dating and then the relationships gets more serious, we start to replay the old tapes of the relationships that we witnessed, that we were a part of, whether it was your mom and dad or your older brothers and sisters and their relationships with their partners. And we begin to settle in and start to feel insecure, and we start to feel unsettled. And then it becomes hard to communicate because we're fearful of, are we going to be heard? Are we going to be seen? Are we going to be respected? Is there going to be compassion? Will my partner value what I am saying, or that I want to talk, that I need to have the floor in that moment. And oftentimes in relationships, we ignore the signals and we don't know what our partner is trying to say to us. And conversely, they don't know what we're trying to say to them. And then the message gets broken. It gets lost in translation. And that is when it's really important and crucial to take a deep breath, slow down, and rather than speak over your partner, let them have the floor. Be gracious and really pay attention, really listen, because it can go quickly from being a calm moment to a heated conversation. And that's what we want to stay away from. And why? Because that's when it starts to feel unsafe. And then we shut down and then we go into ourselves and then we walk out of the room. We stop listening. And what kind of message or signal does that send to our partner? Gosh, it could be a whole host of negative symbols negative messages that we're sending across. I don't care about you. You're not important to me. My feelings are more important than yours. My conversation is more important than yours. I wanted to share my experience in the day first. It becomes pretty immature, right? And we're all immature. I'm 62 years old and I am still trying to learn the skill of good communication and to try to mature in my emotions and my feelings and the way I see things, the way I experience things within myself, to try to mature. In our maturity, we're able to hopefully pay more attention, to slow down, be a better listener. And that's what I was saying to my friend this morning is perhaps when we start to feel afraid in how the conversation is going, perhaps that's a great time to stop talking and to listen. Now, we have to be careful that when we stop talking and when we try to listen, our partner may look at that and feel rejected, feel like you're not listening, feel like what they're saying is not important, that you're basically shutting down. Well, perhaps before we shut down, or perhaps before we stop talking and we start listening, perhaps just say that. Say, for example, I feel like we're not hearing each other and I'm just going to stop talking respectfully. And I'm going to try to listen to what you're saying because you're important to me, because you're special to me, because you mean a lot to me, because this relationship means the world to me. And how hard is it to do that? I mean, wow, that's when we let the ego, the pride get in the way. And we want to win. We want to have the last word. But who really has the last word when you have the last word? Certainly not I. And in my, relationship, I turned into that. I turned into someone that felt unheard, someone that felt unimportant, someone that felt undervalued. And rather than really communicating that with compassion, with love, with empathy, I became more immature in my communication skills. And I would just shut down or I would start raising my voice. And it didn't accomplish anything because then my partner's voice would be raised. And then it just the decimals kept going higher on both sides. And I just want to encourage you to, like I did to my friend this morning. I said, when you feel that it's escalating and it's getting heated, the conversation, just be vulnerable, be clear, take a deep breath, say, listen, what are you really trying to say to me? Because our wires keep getting lost. They keep getting broken. And then there's a disconnect with us. And I don't want that. I want to be connected to you because I love you, because you're important to me, because you're special, because you mean so much to me. And I want us. So can we try to start over? And what does that mean, starting over? Gosh, wouldn't it be great to be able to start from the beginning with what you know now and what we've learned now? Obviously, we can't do that. But when I say, can we start from the beginning? Really, it's Just say, hey, I struggle with communicating. I am immature at times, and I have fallen short many times where I'm not taking all the blame. I want to own what it is that I bring to this relationship and how I contribute to the lack of communication of a mature conversation, of a mature communication between the two of us. And I want it to be better. So can we teach each other? Can you just tell me clearly what it is that you really want to say? What it is that you really feel? Because oftentimes we may feel we're saying what we really feel, but we really are going around the corner and the bend and over the hill and up the hill, trying to get to what we're really trying to say, hoping that our partner gets it, hoping that our partner understands what we're trying to say. That's a lot of responsibility to put on a person in a relationship. And we can't read each other's minds. Now, over time, we can anticipate what the other needs. And that's actually a good skill to acquire, is to anticipate what your partner needs and what they and what they want. And that's just really about paying attention. And that's years of experience with that person. But if we can slow down and calmly say, what is it that you're really wanting to say to me without fear of retribution, without fear that I'm going to start yelling or that I'm going to get upset and that it's going to get heated. How can I help you feel safe? So just tell me what it is that you want to say clearly. And I will do my best to not take it personally and to not get offended. And I told my friend, perhaps that's a great place to start, but it has to start from a place of vulnerability, a place of love, a true love, right? You're with that person because you love that person. You want to be with that person. And then, so of course we want to make it work, and relationships are challenging, but they're also beautiful and also give so much to us, to our lives, right? And again, it just goes back to, in my opinion, if I could go back in time, I would do things differently. I would definitely be a better listener. I would definitely say, hey, you know what? We're not really getting anywhere right now. So I'm just going to take a walk and go take a deep breath and come back to you when I'm calm. Not you need to calm down. It's no, I want to go and take a walk and I want to come back to you from a place of love. And that's what I would do. I hope to do that in the future. Should I find myself in a relationship that where there is love and kindness and compassion. And I feel if both of us want that, we can come back to that. We can find ourselves back there again. It's not going to be easy because it throughout the relationship, we've created habits. We formed habits and in the way that we interact with one another. And I just find that being vulnerable and being open and being really honest with ourselves about where we are and what we need and what we want, and then being able to communicate that with that honesty, I feel that it could be a beautiful thing. Now, we'll circle back to this one day when I find myself in a relationship, and I will hopefully you will keep me accountable, and I will be able to put into practice that which I'm talking about today. Again, like I said, I'm not an expert, but you know what? You don't have to be an expert when you love someone, when you care about someone, to be a good listener, to communicate in a way that's open and honest and kind and loving and compassionate, where the person that you're speaking to feels safe. You don't have to be an expert for that. We are living life. All we want really in this life is to have joy, to have peace, to feel and know love in whatever capacity. and to be given the time and the affection and the kindness that we really want. And when we're not getting that, that's when it starts to feel unsafe. So I told my friend, maybe have that conversation with your husband and really, really, really enter that space with calm and peace and love and with an open ear. And maybe you're not going to like what your husband says, but perhaps if, as long as he says it, at least you have a compass, maybe where you can maybe process that and say to your husband, I'm going to process what you said to me. I value it. I'm not going to comment now. It doesn't mean I don't love you. It doesn't mean what you've said isn't important, because it is. Clearly you love me enough to tell me. And then I'm going to come back to you with it. And hopefully we can teach one another how to be better listeners, how to be mature in the relationship, and how not to jump to accusations, to pointing the finger, to one-upping, to keeping score. It's so easy to keep score, because oftentimes when you're in a relationship where you don't feel safe to communicate, you hold every action that happens that caused you to feel sad, hurt, unloved, uncared for, unsafe. We hold on to it. And we're like, okay, I'm not going to say anything. And then we do that for 10 exchanges. And then what happens? You finally erupt like a volcano. And then the person that your partner wonders, where is this coming from? I just asked you to take the garbage out. I just asked you if you wouldn't mind, getting me another cup of coffee. And then it turns into this heated explosion, eruption. And that's why if we can address things as they happen. And okay, I'm going to tell you, I am not good at that, but I am trying to get better, and I want to be better, and I want you to be better, and I want your relationship to be better. Whatever that is, whether it's with your brother, your sister, your coworker, your mom and dad, I just want that for you. I'm going to end the conversation today with just a reminder. We're all human. In our humanity, we're imperfect. We're always going to be imperfect. We're always going to not always say the right thing. We're not always going to do the right thing, as long as we're trying. It's the effort that matters. It's not perfection. It's the effort because it's never going to be perfect. So just the effort, putting forth the effort that you're trying, and letting your partner, your friend, your sibling, your parent know, I'm trying. I love you. I'm trying. And sometimes the simple, I'm sorry, gosh, that can go a long way. Because oftentimes people say, you never say you're sorry. I'm the one that always says I'm sorry first. And then then things soften up, but you never say you're sorry. Or you're always talking about you, and you change the subject when I'm talking about something that's important to me. I don't feel loved. I don't feel important. Let's try to be aware of that. I just want to bring awareness to this topic today. In closing, I want to say, let's remember the young people in our lives that are going off on their own for the first time, whether it be to university, whether it be onto our vocation. Let's remember to keep them in our prayers, and to really be encouraging, and to really be present, and to help them feel safe to come to you with anything, no matter what it is, whatever they did, whatever the struggle, whatever the experiences they're going through. If they can feel secure and safe enough to call you and say, hey, mom, hey, dad, hey, uncle, hey, aunt, hey, grandma, hey, grandpa, I did this week, or I'm really ashamed. I feel really terrible. I got drunk. I think it's really important. I know it's important to let those young people know that we're here for them. They're safe. Nothing they do is going to keep us from loving them. So with that, I love you. Have a beautiful, beautiful rest of your week. And as always, I'm praying for you, and please keep me in your prayers too. Until next time, thank you.